Welcome back. Thanks so much for watching all the videos in this little lecture. I know this is a particularly long one, but we had to get a bunch of background and vocab out of the way before we can move forward for the 3-week overall. So what we're going to do in this last video is talk about biases and heuristics. So let's start by asking yourself which of these you think is more dangerous or more likely to harm you. We've got a shark attack, we've got a plane crash, we've got a bombing, we've got a swimming pool. The answer is all of you are much more likely to be harmed in your neighbor's swimming pool than any of these other events. Is examples of two of these behavioral biases, this recency bias, which is the tendency to overweight based on recent information or earlier observations, and recency bias, which is the tendency to overweight based on information that's more striking or bold. So when we look at those dangerous things, a swimming pool isn't particularly salient, and we can't think about our neighbors drowning in a pool recently, and probably because they've spent all of winter in their garages. We can think about overconfidence, and a lot of people sort of conflate different aspects of overconfidence, but loosely speaking, we can think about 3 different types. Overplacement, which is the tendency to believe that you're better than others. The overestimation, which is an overly positive appraisal of how well you did, of your absolute level of skills and abilities. And overprecision, which is you think your estimates are overly precise. And each of these is going to lead to problems in our individual decision making. So when it comes down to the end of the semester and we have to make a financial plan for ourselves, the tendency to believe that we're going to be luckier that we can beat the market might be an example of overconfidence. Framing biases us because we need to understand that things put in different ways might have the same meaning. So the difference between a program that saves 200 people and a program that kills 400 people is null. Those are the same disease prevention programs. Yet in survey data, people prefer program A to program B and program D to program C, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Yet the way in which the information is presented to us is going to influence how we make our choice. We really need to engage that critical part of the mind. Put differently, when we're making these complex economic decisions, thinking through all these alternatives is going to be difficult. And often we'll have to rely on simple rules of thumb. But this might create suboptimal choices, and it's up to us to evaluate what these choices look like, particularly involving choices over time where we don't want to be dynamically inconsistent or fall susceptible to sunk cost fallacies. Now, your reading for today will be about how we can avoid these biases and what they mean for our financial decision making. So with that, let's close out the lecture, and we'll come back tomorrow to talk about some of these foundations of economics.